Hey, I'm Ahmed Hassan. Today we're going to talk about watering your lawn. Everyone wants to know how much water does my lawn need and how often should I give it that water.
First and foremost, let's break down a common myth about how plants drink.
Plants don't actually extract water out of the soil. There's none of that going on there.
Instead, plants just passively sit there and absorb water that's left over after the soil has become saturated. Your lawn is just the same. These are thousands of tiny little plants that just sit around waiting for leftovers.
Which means when you're watering, you have to actually saturate the soil, make sure that water is stuck to all of the soil particles right there in the root zone of where your plant is growing, and that you're putting enough excess water to where the plants can take a drink.
Sandy soil drains quickly. Clay-based soils hold on to moisture, so your soil type determines how much water you need on your designated watering day. This handy tool is called a soil probe. It can show you if water is really getting down into the root zone. If you don't have a soil probe, try the squish test.
Now we all know what saturated soil sounds like, right? Now if you can either see the water or hear the water, you know you've got excess water in the soil.
So experiment. Turn on the sprinklers for 10 minutes, then wait for 10. Now if you hear that squishy sound, the ground has enough excess water that the grass can take a drink. If not, you need to add some more water. Figuring out how often to water is tricky. If your yard slopes, you face an additional challenge because water runs downhill. So while the top of the hill might dry out, the bottom of the hill actually becomes a muddy swamp. My advice? Divide your property into different zones according to elevation. Then water each zone the way that farmers water their crops, saturating them and allowing them to dry out to what we call the temporary wilting point.
We've all seen plants that will wilt, and then you go over there and you hurry up and give it some water, and the next day the plants are standing up and everything's fine. That's the temporary wilting point. Saturate your lawn, make sure that you're putting enough excess water there for the plants, enough there for the soil, and your plants are taking up a drink, and then see how far you can go in between waterings. You'll not only conserve some water, you'll cut down on your water bill, of course, and your lawn won't be a muddy mess for you to walk on. So that's really it. You now know how much water to give to your lawn.